Hello. Welcome to another episode of Read With Me. And I'm yours truly, I'm Isabel, and I am so excited to start a brand new book, y'all. We took 2 months to handle this beast of a book, okay? We accomplished it, we finished it, we got a lot of insight. And now we are officially in the new month where we're going to be reading A View from the Top in 1 week. It's a very little book. It's only, it's very, very short. It's like 200 pages, less than 200 pages. And then in the next 3 weeks after we finish this one, we're going to cover Your Next 5 Moves by Patrick Bet-David. I've read this book already and it's awesome. If you know Patrick, if you don't know Patrick, make sure to check him out on YouTube. He's a fast talker. He's from Iran. He's an amazing businessman. And not only that, but he started from nothing, like zero, total self-made man. And I really respect what he's built over the time that, he's been building his business. And I really respect that. Now, this guy right here, I've never actually had the opportunity to not meet, but like get to really know him and see him in action. He actually passed. Zig Ziglar, the Ziglar. This man, Zig Ziglar, and I've been watching some YouTube videos from him, and I suggest you do the same. Okay, he passed in 2012, right? So he's America's most influential and beloved encouragers and believers that everyone could be, do, and have more. He was a motivational speaker, teacher, and trainer who traveled extensively, delivering messages of humor, hope, and encouragement. His appeal transcended age, culture, and occupation. And then from 1970 until 2010, Zig traveled more than 5 million miles around the world, sharing powerful life improvement messages, cultivating the energy of change. And this was back when, airplanes weren't that fast. Okay. So like Ziggy Poo was hopefully in first class traveling because all those miles will break your back. Ziggy Poo wrote more than 30 celebrated books on personal growth, leadership, sales, faith, family, and success. He was a committed family man, dedicated patriot, and an active church member. His unique delivery style and powerful presentations earned him many honors, and today he is still considered one of the most versatile authorities on the science of human potential. The science of human potential. Like, that's a pretty awesome title, just saying. And what I really do like about him, I don't know if you guys have watched the movie Forrest Gump. Okay, I love Forrest Gump. When I first heard Zig actually do a presentation, he's a Southern man, okay, and his accent is thick. So he does sound, to me, the first thing I thought about when I heard him was Forrest Gump. So if you guys check him out on YouTube, close your eyes, and you do hear some Forrest Gump, just go ahead and hit the like button on this video because we're on the same page. But anyways, after you get past the Forrest Gump and all of that, then he's like amazing. He's just like so relatable, the material that he shares with people. So anyways, in this particular section, we're going to go from chapter 1. We're going to cover chapter 1 and 2 because they're pretty short. And we're going to stop right before chapter 3. So chapter 1 is called Successful Living. You're at the top. Okay. Make sure to grab your tea. Make sure to grab your water. Get comfy. Get situated. Because it's going to be a good one. All right, let's get it. You're at the top, when you're mature enough to delay gratification and shift your focus from your rights to your responsibilities. When you know that failure to stand for what is morally right is a prelude to being the victim of what is criminally wrong. Damn, that's strong. Okay. This is an exciting day. You are going to learn how successful living begins with the view from the top. I'm going to start your journey to the top by asking you 4 questions. Okay, number 1, is there something you can specifically do in the next 3 weeks that you know for sure, without a shadow of a doubt, would make your personal life, your family life, and your business life worse? Do you honestly believe there's something you can do in the next 3 weeks that will make your personal life, family life, and your business life better? Do you believe those choices are yours to make? And then lastly, number 4, do you believe every choice has an end result? Great questions. You might not realize it, but let me tell you what you just agreed to. You just in essence said, look, I'm not really concerned about what happened in my past. I'm not even overly concerned about where my situation is and what my situation is right now, because there's something I can specifically do right now that will make my future better, my future either better or worse. And the choice is mine. And that is profound. That statement says that you are not a victim. Amen. Good. I'm going to use blue. Actually, I'm going to go with green for this book, all highlighted in green, because this guy is money green, if you know what I mean. Okay. I love that. Good decisions reap good benefits. I'm calling on you, beginning right now, to start making decisions that will give you immediate benefits, infinitely more important benefits to you now and down the road 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and even 100 years from now. Decisions that will make a huge difference to others as well. Psychiatrist Smiley Blayton said that in all of his years of practice, he never knew a senile person, regardless of age, who did these 3 things. Number 1, they stayed active physically. Number 2, they continued to grow mentally and learn new things. And then number 3, they had a genuine interest and concern for and about other people. So in other words, healthy people are not self-centered individuals. I regularly meet people who are not focused on what is important. We need to keep the main thing if we're going to accomplish the main objectives. Social philosopher Eric Hoffer said that in the times of change, the learners shall inherit the earth while they learn, and the learned find themselves beautifully equipped to deal with a world that no longer exists. And how true that is. We've got to forever be learning. That's true. That is so true. And I love something that I'm going to stop here for 2 seconds just to give you guys something. Last week we had our BIC inner circle conversation, and one of the amazing women in the group mentioned that her brain has elasticity because of the constant learning that we've been doing. We were reading 2 books a month, ladies and gentlemen. It's a lot of new, like, massaging into your brain, into your soul, into your, life. And I really, really do feel like that too. Like, after they mentioned that, I was like, oh my God, that is what's happening. If you're not learning, you're dying. And if you're dying, you're not learning. You're not in a state of gratitude. And because we've been implementing all these amazing books and all the teachings and the learnings, we've been able to stay in this state of gratitude, but then also learn, right? We're inheriting the earth here. And just like he mentions, healthy people are not self-centered. Love it. My friend and mentor, Fred Smith, said that he has a right not to have a degree, but he also doesn't have a right to not have an education. And I could not agree more. Fred never went to college except to teach and accept a lecture and accept counsel. But Fred was right. My administrative assistant for the past 24 years finished 10th grade. About 7 or 8 years ago, we evaluated our key personnel, and she checked out at slightly above the master's degree level. Now, she did not move from 10th grade to the master's degree level overnight, but the good news is she moved the way all of us can move. And that is step by step, by step, by step, by step. Little things do make a huge difference. I speak with considerable confidence, not because of what comes from me, but because of what comes through me. Ooh, that's strong. I speak with considerable confidence, not because of what comes from me, but because of what comes through me. Now, I want you to know going in that I validate my statements psychologically, theologically, and physiologically before I verbalize them, write them, or record them, because we are physical, we are mental, and we are spiritual. And if we deal with all those aspects of life, then we are more likely to be on the right path. We are more likely to be right. I speak with considerable confidence, not because of what comes from me, but because of what comes through me. I love that line so much. There's a huge difference in those two things. Let me also point out that often I generally I do validate my comments from at least two different sources. When I quoted the statement that my friend had never known a senile person regardless of age, I called my friend Frank at a world famous clinic filled with psychiatrists and psychologists and asked him if I was right to make the following statement and if he would actually validate it. I said, Alzheimer's is a disease, but most mental illnesses are the result of a long series of poor choices. Damn. Alzheimer's is a disease, but mental illnesses are the result of a long series of poor choices. Dang, he ain't playing around with this one. I said most because sometimes illnesses are inherited. Frank referred to me as to a doctor who deals with the illness, and the doctor said, Zig, as long as you put it that way, you're absolutely right. At this particular moment, I don't know where you are in your life, in your career, in your personal and family, your business life, and I don't know your past, but Scottish theologian Carl Bad said that no one can go back and make a new beginning, but all of us can start now and make a new ending. Strong. Dang, this book is filled with one-liners. That's what we're going to be working toward throughout this book. And in many ways, I started when I was 45 years of age. And the purpose of this book is to give you the assurance that, yes, you can make a new start and new things can happen in an amazing way. And my friend Joe says that you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. God dang, like, let's go. And from my perspective, truer words were never spoken, but people often wonder, do I have what it takes to get to the top? Years ago, I read something that still intrigues me. I read that every third person is either remarkably handsome and amazingly bright, or incredibly beautiful and absolutely brilliant. That person is you. And from this moment on, for the rest of your life, if a negative thought ever enters your mind, I want you to say, no, that's not right about me. I'm an absolute handsome and smart dude. or I'm an absolutely beautiful and brilliant gal. Now consider this. If you're somebody to anybody, you're somebody. Let me repeat that for you. Okay? If you're somebody to anybody, you're somebody. Think about that just for a moment. Then consider what Muhammad Ali said. If man can take molded bread and make a penicillin out of it, consider what a loving God can make out of you. You were designed for accomplishment and engineered for success. You were endowed with the seeds of greatness, and all you have to do is recognize those seeds, water those seeds, and fertilize those seeds. Then you have to realize that you are that third person. Damn. That's strong. And think about this. Way back in AD 399, St. Augustine said, I'm paraphrasing here, the man travels hundreds of miles to gaze at the broad expanse of the ocean and looks in awe at the heavens above. He stares in wonderment at the fields and the mountains and the rivers and the streams. And then he passes himself by without another thought of God's most amazing creation. Earthquakes and hurricanes get all the publicity, but did you know that termites do more damage than both of them put together? They take such itty bitty bites that you can't even see them with the naked eye, but they make so many bites and cause so much damage. This message is this: you can make radical changes in tiny steps. And when you clearly understand that, you start to realize that you can make it to the top one small step at a time. And the most important opinion you have is the opinion you have of yourself. I wrote a book of 384 pages, and I wrote that book in 10 months by writing one. Oh my gosh, this is so good. I wrote a book of 384 pages, and I wrote that book in 10 months by writing 1 and 1/4 pages a day. And on average, every day for 10 months. Radical changes, small steps. And when we understand that, then something amazing will happen. How do you go about that? Well, a psychologist I frequently quote says, you can't change from a negative mindset to a positive mindset without changing the negative talking to a positive talking. To do that, you must change the input from negative to positive. And the most important opinion you have is the opinion you have of yourself. The most important conversation you will have on any day is a conversation you have with yourself. So you need to make your daily conversation extremely positive. I was thinking about the book that I want to write. And I was thinking maybe I can just when I get these moments of thought of, really powerful moments, I can just write it in my journal, but then because that's how I get it out. But then I can take an additional 10 minutes and read what I just wrote and literally transcribe everything into an ongoing document, and then eventually just convert that into a book, have it edited and, formatted and all that. So stay tuned for that one. Stay tuned. Hope and action. For many years, I've talked about my weight loss. For 20 years of my adult life, by choice, I weighed well over 200 pounds. And I say by choice simply because I've never accidentally eaten anything. Yes, girl. Yes. During those 24 years, when I chose to eat too much, I chose to weigh too much. I tried every diet known to man, tried the 30-day diet, lost a month, but I was determined. I dieted religiously. That means I quit eating in church. That wasn't funny, Zig. He's like, I dieted religiously. That means I quit eating in church. I see what you're trying to do there, but no. Okay. Then in 1972 to 1973, in a 10-month period of time, I decided to start using my head. I figured out that if I lost 1 9/10 of an ounce a day, on average, every day for 10 months, I'd lose the 37 pounds that I needed to lose. And if you have a weight problem, you probably just thought to yourself, I could do that. And hope is born. Action always follows hope. Action always follows hope. No hope, no action. There is hope in the future. There's power in the present. And according to my friend John Maxwell, honey, action always follows hope. And if you stay tuned for next month, August, September, okay, we will be reading the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John Maxey Poo. Okay, so stay tuned for that one too. Years ago, psychotherapist Alfred Adler said, hope is a foundational quality of all change, because if there's no hope, there's no action. And the salesperson with no hope of making the sale won't make the call. Why bother? A youngster with no hope won't bother to study. Why bother? I won't pass anyhow. But give him hope. Give him hope. Give her hope. And action will follow. That's what it's all about. Hope. Hope is the foundational quality of all change. I never thought about it like that. Now what we want to do is understand that the doors of opportunity and progress swing open and in the hinges of hope. Nations have been discovered because of the hope and the freed because of hope. There are medical and scientific breakthroughs because of hope. Industries and education acquired because of hope. Cosmetic companies sell hope. Diet programs sell hope. Exercise programs sell hope. Those things are incredibly important. So everybody wants more of the things that money will buy. Well, just about everybody. People who say they're not interested in money lie about other things too. I mean, just happens to be, oh, he's about to go in on this. Listen to this. People who say they're not interested in money lie about other things too. And I mean, that just happens to be one of the facts of life. Money is not the most important thing in life, but it's a reasonably close to oxygen. When you need it, you really do need it. And all I'll have to confess is that I like things that money buys. I like to wear nice clothes. I like to drive a nice car. I like to have a nice house and take that beautiful redheaded wife of mine out to nice restaurants, take nice trips. I like playing golf at the country club, and I like all those things. And every one of them costs money, but I love the things money won't buy. Money can buy me a bed, but it won't buy me a good night's sleep. Take that in. If you're money hungry, focus on the other side of money. It's not what it can buy you physically. It's what it can buy you peacefully. Money can buy me a companion, but it won't buy me a friend. Money can buy me a bed, but it won't buy me a good night's sleep. It will buy me a good time, but it won't buy me a peace of mind. Those are the things that I really love. We're going to look at how we get more of the things that money will buy and all of the things that money won't buy. Damn, that's beautiful. As we go along, we're going to identify the things that people want and need. And everybody wants to be happy and healthy and reasonably prosperous and secure. They want to have friends and peace of mind and good family relationships and have the hope that their future is going to be even better. But more than that, we need love and we need to be loved. Can we take steps to make those things happen? Well, we start with the philosophy. You can have everything in life you want if you will help enough other people get what they want. You can have everything in life that you want if you will help enough other people get what they want. Contrary to what some people believe, actually, you can spend your life any way you want, but you can spend it only once. That's so true. You can only spend your life once. Just one time, one life to live. If standard of living is your number one priority, quality of life almost never improves. But if the quality of your life is your number one priority, your standard of living almost always improves. This is important to understand. I love what my friend, the late William Arthur Ward, said. Each of us will one day be judged by our standard of life, not by our standard of living, by our measure of giving, not by our measure of will, by our simple goodness, not by seeming greatness. And I do believe this is so true. It's my complete conviction that this message is an absolute necessity if I'm going to fulfill some of the obligations I feel toward the people who've been listening to me and reading my books. My book, See You at the Top, was an introduction to what it is successful to be in life and enjoy many of the things that money will buy and all the things that money won't buy. So you might wonder, well, what else is there? Well, one of the prime things that we considered is what kind of contribution can you make onto others? And for years, I've stated that you can have everything in life you want. And if you help other people get what they want, you will have a lot of people that don't understand the way that actually works, regardless of whatever your field might be. Now, I never will forget when a writer from a medical magazine interviewed me and asked, how does your statement work in the medical profession? And I kind of laughed and said, it works perfectly. See, if I get seriously ill and I go to the doctor and he gives me the wrong medicine and I end up dying, I'm not going to be telling anybody about what a great doctor he is. But if he gives me the right treatment and I get up running, I'll guarantee you, I'll be telling everybody I know what a good doctor is. He helped me get what I wanted. And in the process, he's going to get more and more and more of what he wants because other patients will pick up that message and go forward. You can have everything in life you want if you help others get what they want. Another example in a different profession comes to mind. Li Ka-shing, according to the Fortune magazine several years ago, was one of the 10 wealthiest people in the world. He earned his fortune by financing small businesses that had good products, good management, and good leadership. But they were undercapitalized. He found out that the going rate for financing a business was 10% ownership of that business. And though he could get 11 or 12% of the business he financed, he advised his sons, who now run the business, was that 9% of a thriving business was worth much more than 12% of a struggling business. He then realized that of far more significance is the fact that when the business see he is genuinely interested in them being successful, he will get everything he wants, and they will too. Then the larger business world would see and say, hey, you know that Li Ka-shing guy? He's really a neat guy. He wants me to be successful. And as a result, they would send him lots more business. It's a philosophy that works in your personal life, your family life, your business life, and it works absolutely everywhere. That's one of the main things that I want to make clear. There's more to life than just having money, more than just being healthy. When you enter this philosophy, you actually are entering into a spiritual dimension, and that's where real joy comes from. That's where real success comes from. Damn, that was great. Continue to grow. Then there's another factor involved in success too. The fact that we must all continue to grow. You are never static in life. You never stay in one spot. You are either going down or you're going up. If you're now going up, then the obvious fact is that you are going down in different areas of your life. And people need to keep on growing. They need to keep on learning. As discussed later in the book, by the way, your creativity is dependent on always acquiring new information because that makes the old knowledge and information even more usable. Which goes into what I was just mentioning about having elasticity in your brain. Okay? Having elasticity in your brain means that you already have stuff in there. Like you literally have a bunch of stuff in your brain. But the fact that now you are learning more, the good stuff sticks. The good stuff is what keeps you going. Creativity is dependent on always acquiring new information because that makes the old knowledge and information even more usable. Freaking love that line. The bottom line at the end of all of this is that you will add considerable joy to other people's lives. And there's nothing quite like joy, which goes well beyond happiness, because happiness often depends on happenings. Happiness often depends on happenings, whereas you can have joy despite the fact that there might be grief in your life. A view from the top can actually come in a dungeon or in a whale, because I'm actually talking about your spirit and your attitude, not a physical location. And historically speaking, we know that all great leaders come from adversity. Great leaders comes from adversity. All completely successful people come out of adversity when they go down into the valley and emerge with wisdom. Oh my gosh. The way he speaks, I feel like I'm at church, like modern day church. It's so good. But anyways, but as my friend and mentor says, it is when you're in the valley that you grow the food that you're going to eat in the mountaintop. Think about this for a moment. You can't climb a smooth mountain. There's so much truth in that statement. You have to have footholds along the way. You have to have those jagged parts that factor in what you're doing. And when you have those, then you have a better view, and the view from the top that takes you to the mountaintop. I've been at the mountaintop, not only figuratively speaking, but literally speaking. I've flown to the Concorde at over 60,000 feet above Earth. And from there, you can literally see the curvature of the Earth. I was in South Africa on Cape Point with my son, and the view from there was absolutely magnificent. We looked at the left and we saw the greens of the Indian Ocean. We looked to the right and we saw the blue of the Atlantic Ocean. And we looked straight ahead and we saw where those two oceans came together, and it gave us one of the most beautiful views of what God has done in the universe that you can possibly imagine. Then off to the left again, we could see the mountains. We could see so many beautiful things, and you can catch the view from the top. However, wherever you might be, if your attitude is right, your purpose in life is right, and you're genuinely interested in doing things that will make a significant difference in others' lives. Beautifully said. Look into the end zone. The view from the top is a unique position to be in. And if you think about it, its significance is involved when you become a team player as well. So one of my favorite stories has to do with the year that the Green Bay and Denver were at the Super Bowl. Denver won the game, but the interesting thing is that the beginning of the NFL football season, there were only 1,580 players on the opening day roster. And then 44 of those players came from Notre Dame, 36 of those players came from Penn State. And now please understand that there are hundreds of schools that play football. And yet, if you put your pencil to it, over 5% of them came from only 2 schools. Now, why and how did that happen? Well, interestingly enough, those are the only two major schools who do not put the names of the players on their jerseys. Nice. Why is that important? Well, it's very simple if you think about it. In all of football, the quarterback, the wide receiver, the running back, those are all the guys who get all the attention and all of the recognition. But any coach worth his salt will tell you that the offensive tackle is key to winning the game, as is the defensive end, and as is the quarterback, and as is the center. So in other words, the 11 players on offense and the 11 players on defense constitute a winning football team if they are all playing together as a team. That's powerful. I actually didn't know about football, like, but this all makes so much sense. Now, individuals do score points, but teams win games. I love that. Individuals score points, but teams win games. So when the names are not on the jerseys, that simply means that the attention is drawn to the player with the number of his back, and that player gets the recognition that he deserves. As a matter of fact, the Penn State football team has always had a very simple rule. When the team scores a touchdown, the individual who has the ball in his hand, when he crosses the line, the goal line, is to hand the ball back to the official, go back to the huddle and say, thanks, guys, you did all a great job. The team is the winner. Damn right. Damn freaking right. I love that. Now, individuals do score points, but teams win games. When you're a producing member of a team, recognizing the value and importance of all the others will add a significant portion to your own life and to the team, and enables you to not only live well, but finish well. And I assure you, from the point of view, you will enjoy your view from the top very much, because you've been part of a winning team. And the view from the top comes to people who's done significant things. Now, that does not necessarily mean it comes from a corporate position. And for example, I don't know if Mother Teresa would have made it on Wall Street. Yeah, I don't know if Mother Teresa would have made it on Wall Street, but I do know she made it big in life. A lot of people confuse success with fame, and Madonna had fame. Mother Teresa had success. Zig throwing shots. Okay. Mother Teresa, yeah, she might have not made it on Wall Street. Okay. And Madonna has fame. Mother Teresa had success. And the view from the top enables people to experience real success that makes a difference, not only in their lives, but in the lives of many people. That was good. What money buys. People who spend a lot of time watching television or reading the newspapers or the society pages get the idea that successful people get a lot of recognition. They read that some billionaire donated $1 million to some charitable cause, and that's a wonderful thing to do. But they look at those individuals as being successful as a result of their financial accomplishments. And I will share with you some information that I believe will open your eyes. In 1923, there was a meeting at the Edgewater Beach Hotel in Chicago of some of the most powerful, influential people in the world at that time. A group included, for example, the president of the largest independent steel company, the president of the largest utility company, and the president of the largest gas company, the president of the New York Stock Exchange, a member of the president cabinets in the Great Bear on Wall Street, the head of the world's greatest monopoly, and also the president of the Bank International Settlements. And certainly those men were tremendously accomplished, and they had all the power, all the recognition, and money in the world. Now, I know exactly what this story is because Tony Robbins in Money Master the Game, the book that we actually read last month, okay, this massive piece of information, the biggest book I've ever read in my life, shared the same story. Let's get into it. Look at what happened to all of these men later in life. One of those men went insane. 2 ended up penniless at the end of their lives. 3 of them committed suicide, and 2 spent some time in prison. Now, I ask you, were these men successful in life or just financially successful? And, from my perspective, I wouldn't swap places with none of them. And I'll bet you wouldn't either. Significance with a view from the top looks at life from a different perspective. Later in this book, we will be discussing people who earned a lot of money and had a lot of influence, but they also had balance in their lives. Those are the successful people. Those are the ones with a view from the top. And lastly, before we end chapter 1, he ends with character matters. Almost from the very beginning of my life, I consider somewhat of a rebel. And by the time that I simply says, and by that, I simply mean I did not play the game as everybody necessarily thought the game should be played. And as a youngster, I got into a lot of fights because I could not stand to see a bully take advantage of a smaller kid. Good, me too. And on many occasions, though it appeared to be none of my business, I got involved and I defended a smaller child or the one who was less athletically inclined. That was a sign of rebellion. And now I have to confess, in all fairness, I really enjoyed fighting. Zig, so funny. Along the way, I've talked a great deal about character. And in the past 10 years, there have been a lot of people who maintained that character who really didn't count. And as long as you could do the job, that was the real only thing that really mattered to anybody. Well, the reality is that when you have a character issue, a character does not count in the way that you do your job at home, on the job, or in society. A good character reflects your life values. A good character reflects your life values, which will make you a good husband, a father, a wife, a sister, a mother. These are the same values that will stand you in a wonderful stead in corporate America or on the job, wherever, whether you're in business for yourself or whether you are part of a large organization. Here's the reality, though. The reality is that virtually all great failures are character failures. Oh, shoot. Going back to a good character reflects on your life values. So he's saying the reality is virtually all great failures are character failures. So in reality, he's kind of saying, like, because your values are not being, successfully executed, that means that that's where failures stem from. If your values are not streamlined and attached to greatness, your values, that's where character fails. All you have to do is read today's newspaper or tomorrow's newspaper, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Trust character, balance in life. And if you have them all, you will be able to have the view from the top. And I'm telling you, you're going to love that view. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes chapter 1 of this book. As I mentioned, we are going into chapter 2, which is quite short, but this particular book is very, very small. It's the smallest one that we've actually read. And we're going to be able to accomplish this particular book because in 1 week, okay, compared to the whole month, because we're going to be starting the next book next week. And this is such a great goal, like I'm really pumped to, knock this book out in the next week, because it just gives you so much more power. Like, check, another one, another book in the books. Anyways, let's get into it. And this one's going to be quite fast because I feel like, it's a very small chapter. Anyways, Hope you guys are enjoying this. This is a really, really great book. This is the first time I'm actually reading a Zig Ziglar book, but now that I'm reading everything here, I realize that John Maxwell, even Grant Cardone, like Tony Robbins, like they all stem from the OGs, and this one is an OG for sure. So let's get into it, okay? Chapter 2. It's all about balance. All about balance. You're at the top. And when you're secure in who you are and are at peace with God and in fellowship with others, you're at the top. When you know who you are, when you are at peace with God, and you are in fellowship with others. How do you get it all? Well, there's a formula. You start with the right attitude. You have specific skills, and you follow the golden rule philosophy. And then you put all of that on a character base. And what you have is an honest, legitimate shot at complete success. When you deliberately hire an accountant or a treasurer who admitted that he or she was just relatively honest, I profess that some things are right, some things are wrong. My wife and I will soon celebrate our 55th wedding anniversary. And you know, in all those years, not one time have I ever come home and she looked at me and said, and asked, "Now, honey, tell me the truth. Were you relatively faithful to me while you were gone?" And I repeat, some things are right and some things are wrong. Attitude matters. Character really does count. And your attitude obviously counts too. Well, what is attitude? Well, for example, how do you respond or react to life when something bad happens? Do you stomp your foot and scream and shout and holler, or do you respond? Responding is positive. Responding is positive. So for example, if you get sick and go to the doctor and she gives you a prescription and says, "Take this and I'll see you tomorrow." You walk in the next day and she looks at you and smiles and says, "Hey, it's working." Your body is responding to the treatment. But if you say you're not any better, in fact, you're feeling worse, well, then that's when the doctor knows that your body is reacting to the prescription. Good one. Good one. Responding makes all the difference within those who do great things and those who do things that are not so great. Now, let me tell you about a 300 world-class leader, 300 world-class leaders. I'm talking about people like Mahatma Gandhi, Martin Luther King, Franklin Roosevelt, people like Winston Churchill, Clara Barton, Helen Keller, and Mother Teresa. Of those 300 world-class leaders, 75% of them either raised in poverty, they were abused as children, and they all had some physical defect. As serious as their early lives were, they understood that it is not what happens to you what makes the difference. It's how you handle what happens to you. The attitude of responding rather than reacting makes a world of difference in your life. The good news is simply this: you can control your attitude. Yeah. Strong. When I was in the 7th grade, I tried out for the boxing team. Since I had been a playground gladiator, I figured I was going to do well. I was matched with Joe, a little kid about 62 pounds, and I was 82 pounds, so I felt kind of sorry for the little guy. And well, that sympathy for him lasted all about 4 to 5, maybe 6 seconds into the first round. I had forgotten that Joe had been in the boxing team for 2 years, and I had been on the playground in Slugfest. I found out quickly that there's a big, big difference. Joe was pretty good at math because he figured out the shortest distance from his glove to the end of my nose with a short left jab. He thought I was slow. He thought I was a slow learner because he did it again and again and again and again and again. The coach put a stop to the slaughter, took me aside and started teaching me some of the fundamentals of boxing. And at the end of the 2 weeks, because of the 20-pound weight advantage and the skills that I learned, I was able to hold my own. I learned through the experience that positive thinking will let you do anything, but it will let you do everything better than the negative thinking will. And when you add skill to positive thinking, then you've taken a huge step forward. Beautiful. When you add skill to positive thinking, then you've taken a huge step forward. Attitude can change the way that you look at things. Have you ever done one of those days? I mean, when everything that could go wrong did go wrong, and mercifully, the day ends and you head home, you walk in the door and your wife greets you with a considerable enthusiasm. Can't wait to get started on cleaning the garage, she says. And you say, oh no, that's not today, is it? And I just can't muster any energy, dear. She pleads, it'll only take about 3 to 4 hours. We can get it finished in no time. I'll meet you out there. I don't know who talks like this anymore, but in other words, I can see where he was going. I can feel for him on that one. But anyways, about that time, the telephone rings, and with your last ounce of energy, you stumble over and pick it up in both hands, and the voice on the other side says, hey, pal, I just got us a tea time at the club in 15 minutes. Can you make it? And you respond, can I make it? I'll be there in 10 minutes. And let me ask you a ridiculous question. What if I had the same attitude toward cleaning the garage as going golfing? Ooh. Okay, I see where this was going. Okay, if you had the same positive attitude toward doing the tasks that you didn't like to do as the ones that you like, how would that change your life? Let me read that one more time for you. If you had the same positive attitude toward doing tasks you don't like as the ones that you do like, how would that change your life? What would that do for your career, your marriage? What would that do for every facet of your life? When we can develop a positive attitude, we absolutely can accomplish everything. Here are the right words. Charles Osgood, the CBS word merchant, said, compared to the spoken word, a picture is a pitiful thing, and indeed, words will pick you up or put you down. A little girl said it better than anybody I've ever heard it when she said, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can't break my heart. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can break my heart. The words Churchill used are the reason that we have the freedom we have today. Words spoken demanded freedom. I want to emphasize that we need to use the right words always. Yeah. And I can get better at that too. When you have the character base and the right attitude in life for permanent performance, it's important to know that character gets you out of bed. Commitment moves you to action. Faith, hope, discretion, and discipline enables you to follow through to completion. How do you build character? It can be taught. Well, you can learn it. I've been privileged to serve in the National Board of the Boy Scouts of America for 5 years. And well, I remember on Thursday nights how many times I stood up and said, on my honor, beautiful word, I will do my best to do my duty to God and my country and obey the Scout law to help other people at all times, to keep myself physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight. That's self-talk about character. The Boy Scout law is the Scout is for each scout to be trustworthy, loyal, helpful, friendly, courteous, kind, obedient, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and revert. The scout motto is be prepared. The Boy Scouts slogan, do a good deed daily. Now, what are the benefits of all those words that build character? Let's look at some of the benefits kids see after being involved in scouting. 98%. I don't know about you guys, but I've never been a Girl Scout. I never got into that. If you were a Girl Scout, put it in the comments, share it with a friend. I would love to know. I mean, I would have loved to have been a Girl Scout so I can learn how to live in the woods. Even though I'm not that type of person, I wouldn't really like to live in the woods, but I prefer the beach. But anyways, if you were a Girl Scout, great job, much respect. Okay, let's get into it. 98% of them, according to the Harris poll in 1995, finished high school, and 40% finished college versus 16% of the general population. 33% earned $50,000 a year or more versus 70% of those who were not involved in scouting. And I spoke to a judge several years ago and he said, Zig, girl, I have never, ever had a juvenile in front of me being charged with some kind of crime or misdemeanor who had been in scouting a year or more. Not even one. Wow. That's huge. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? Who would have thought? Is character a quality that makes a difference in life? I believe with all my heart that yes, indeed, these traits do count, and they count big time. 94% of these kids said that what they learned in scouting affected their values the rest of their life. Wow. There's no guilt with integrity, and there's nothing to fear because you have nothing to hide. Integrity. Ooh. This is so good. There's no guilt with integrity, and there's nothing to fear because you have nothing to hide. What is it that everybody wants? To be healthier, to be happier, reasonably prosperous and secure. They want to have friends, peace of mind, good family relationships, hope that there's going to be better. And they need to be loved and to provide love. Now, to get all these things, you have to deal with all of yourself. You have to be the right kind of person. You have to do the right thing in order to have all of the life that life has to offer. With a character-based life and integrity, you do the right thing. There's no guilt with integrity, and there's nothing to fear because you have nothing to hide. And when you take fear and guilt off your back, you are free to be your best self and do your best work on the job with your family. And if you're going to have all that life has to offer now, you have to look at not only the financial aspects, but also the physical, the mental, and the spiritual. It's true that people without character and integrity can possess cars, houses, and vacations, but good people with character and integrity can have so much more. They can have all the things money can buy, plus all the things that money can't buy. And we're finishing up with chapter 2 here. You got to evaluate yourself. We need to evaluate where you are right now. It's important for you to know where you are because that's the most effective and most certain way of determining where you want to go and how you're going to get there. As I go through this little process, I want you to grade yourself. Several years ago, Steve was in my office. He was there because a friend of his had flown from Toronto, Canada. And because Steve had the wrong role models, the wrong hero, he was actually following a guy considered to be the most successful man that he'd ever known. Steve left home every morning at 6 o'clock and returned home at every single night between 10 and 11, 6 days a week. And on Sunday, he was extremely exhausted that he slept all day and had no family life. He had run off the road 2 or 3 times, driving back and forth 20 or 30 miles every day, one way. Everything was falling apart, and his wife was threatening to divorce him. It's important for you to know where you are, because that's the most effective and most certain way of determining where you want to go and how you're going to get there. Yeah, we did this weekend, and I'm so clear on where we are and where we're going. So this is hitting home. I had been forewarned of all of this. And so I said to Steve, listen, bro, I understand you have a hero and that your boss is your hero because he's successful. But listen here, how do you define success? It took him a few minutes, but he finally said, well, I think success is where you're happy and healthy and have friends and peace of mind and good family relationships and the hope that the future is going to be even better. Okay, I said, well, let's now do something that most people don't do. Let's evaluate yourself. And a lot of people won't do that because they're afraid. They might find something that they don't like. But we need to face the facts. Listen here. I relay this conversation to you that I had with Steve. So I challenge you to evaluate yourself as we go along. So as I said to Steve, let's look at your boss according to the things that you said make a person successful. Happiness, good health, friends, peace of mind, good family relationships, and the hope for a better future. So I asked Steve, do you think that your boss is happy? And then he was like, no, not really. I never really heard him laugh, or he seldom smiles, and he has ulcers. Well, Steve, it seems to me that your boss isn't really that happy or healthy, or, if he has had ulcers, he might not have peace of mind. And they say that insanity is the belief that you can keep on doing what you've been doing, but somehow think that you can get different results. It's not going to happen, buddy. It's not going to happen. So listen here. I asked Steve, how prosperous is your boss? And he was like, he's got money running out of his ears. And I asked him, is he secure? And then he was like, he's as secure as money can make him. Listen here, Steve. Steve was actually equating security in life with how much money a person has in the bank in a corporate position. I told him about a billionaire brothers in Dallas who went bankrupt, an industrialist worth $500 million, and a former governor worth $100 million, and they all went bankrupt. And then when I asked Steve how many friends his boss had, he said that he really doesn't even have any. And I'm not his friend. I just admire him because he's so successful. But to tell you the truth, the guy is somewhat of a jerk. So I asked him, okay, thanks for sharing. Tell me about his family. He mentioned that his wife is looking to divorce him. And how much hope for the future does your boss have? And he's like, well, before I started talking to you, I thought he had all the hope, but now I don't think he has any real hope. And then, Steve, let me ask you a question. Would you swap places with your boss right now? He was like, no. Now, I ask you, the reader, the same question. Would you swap places with Steve's boss? The answer would empathetically be no, would it? Well, 3 or 4 years later, I was speaking in Baltimore, Maryland, and a young man came to me and asked, do you remember me? And even though I have a brilliant memory, it's awful short. So I said, I'm sorry, but really I don't. And he said, well, I'm Steve from Toronto, and I took your advice. I didn't have to work 70 or 80 hours a week to be successful. As a matter of fact, when I brought my life into balance, I was more productive, more creative, and I could do more things. And I took your advice, got a better job in far fewer hours and much better pay. And I was actually able to go back and love my wife and family again. And I wanted to show you some real growth. I didn't carry many pictures in my wallet, but I have one of Steve and his family. And that little addition to the family who arrived after we had our meeting. When I brought my life to balance, I was more productive, more creative, and could do more things. That's strong. I'm not in the speaking or training or book business. I'm in the life-changing business. And why was Steve able to do so much more? Well, actually, something happens when you understand one of the very basic elements of life values, the qualities that make you a great husband, a father, a great wife, or a mother. The qualities that make you great at home are also the same exact qualities that are so critical in the job. And when you develop all these qualities, they bring balance to your life. And that's what Steve did. So everything starts with you. The reality is everything starts with you. It's personal responsibility. Your personal life affects your family life, which affects your business life, which affects you physically, which affects you mentally, which affects you spiritually, and affects you financially, which affects you personally. And you can take any of those and they will affect each other. Your family life affects your spiritual life, your physical life affects your financial, your personal affects the mental, and everything affects everything else. And when you bring it all together, the synergy develops. Why am I excited about all this? Well, because when I left home today, the last thing I did was get a big, huge hug from my wife. And when she hugged me back, twice actually, I said, I love you. I don't have to worry about what's going on there when I'm gone. I don't have to worry about the telephone ringing at night. I don't have to worry about someone coming in and saying, I'm from the government. We don't have to worry about those things. Why? Because when you play it straight, synergy takes place in all of your life. Having it all. Yes, you can have it all. And all includes employment security. All includes employment security in a no job security world. Not only can you have employment security in a no job security world, we can go up in the downsizing world. I hope you're enjoying your view from the top so far. And he finishes chapter 2 with, I'm not in the speaking, training, or book business. I'm in the life-changing business. Like a true OG, Ziggy Poo, Zig Ziglar, chapter 1 and 2 complete in this amazing book, The View from the Top. Okay, this was such a great book. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you had a great time listening in with me. I will be, reading chapter 3 and 4 tomorrow at the same time, most likely. I'll probably try to keep this time depending on, my work and depending on my balance, but character is very in tune with me as well. So anywho, I love you guys. I hope you had a great time. If you're watching this, also know that you can watch me on IG Live. I'm going to continue doing this because I kind of like this format, duality. Bravo to you, Federica. I love you. And most importantly, I love yourself because it all stems from you. Have a beautiful rest of your day. Keep rocking it and talk to you soon. Ciao.